What is going on, guys? It's Casper, and today I'm going to be showing you how I make my renders. This is going to be a pretty in-depth tutorial, and I hope you have a little knowledge of Cinema 4D so I don't have to go too in-depth, but you should be able to know like what a Lightroom is and how to use it. This isn't really a too complex Lightroom. You just have to know, you just have to be good with lighting and work a lot with it, because your render for metal renders, you're gonna want to make it perfect, because kind of annoying to mess with it in Photoshop, and if you're just too lazy like I am, you want to have the lighting perfect. So don't stress it though, it's not really too hard, it's just something you have to be patient with. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up a Lightroom. I have Zeke's Lightroom. This is one that's really good for metal style, and I have it already comes with an HDRI. I just put an HDRI matte on it. It's very easy. You can just go to Google Images and type in HDRI image or texture rather, and a bunch of images will pop up, and you just put that on your texture. And if you're wondering, the one that's on mine right now, it's this one. But yeah, like something like this would work really well. It's really not hard. You just go here and then color, add texture, but and then do the same thing for reflection, but I already have one. So what you're gonna do is go to File, Merge, and then find an AI file. So I'm gonna do like Synergy, or no, I'll do Darth actually. And then I'm just gonna combine these paths by selecting both of them, holding Control, and then connect objects and delete. I'm gonna bring it to this plane, excuse me, and then I'm gonna make it 3D. So put it in an extrude. Alright, so I want this Darth logo to be like right where this plane is. So it's gonna be kind of a little off. Yeah. So just move it to where that plane is and center it with the plane. Okay, so see how my axis, like if I click the no, that's not. Alright, see if I go to cube and I bring the cube up, my axis is dead ass in the middle of the cube. So it's not like that when I click extrude. My axis is all the way over here. So what you want to do is click this right angle and then bring your axis in the middle and go to extrude. I'm going to make the depth about 50, 55. And I'm going to go to the view panels and I'm going to put the axis in the center like that. So it's in the middle of everything. Every single view, it's in the middle. Alright, so you want to drag your render up to where it barely went over the plane. See how it's going out, back in? So do it to where it's like that, and zoom in. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is rotate it, just at a certain angle. I think that looks pretty cool. So I have a habit of rotating it like that. I don't know, I think it looks cool. So, and go to extrude, go to caps, fillet cap, change the steps to 11 on both of them, and then turn the radius to like 2. It's kind of different for each render, it just depends. See, like if you go, see how the white outline of the render is like small, and then if you make them bigger like that, it's gonna look pretty bad. So I just like to do it on 2. You don't want it too big or small, you just want it like that's a good size. And what this does, it makes it a bevel, so like anything rounded in Cinema 4D will like reflect, but something like straight, like the surface of the render won't really reflect. It's kind of just the rounded parts that will be really shiny. But certainly you can always add textures in Photoshop and such like that, so that's what I like to do. But for now, I'm just going to put a metal mat on the extrude. So I got V1 material right here. It's not hard to make a metal one. You kind of just go to reflection and turn the brightness down. So you can just do that, but put a metal mat on the extrude. And I like to go to quick shading, because if you go to this one, the default one, it makes it black. And don't worry, it's not going to show up black on your render. Just go to quick shading, this doesn't adjust to the light, by the way. Like where if you move it up, you would think it gets like brighter or darker. It doesn't. It stays the same gray color. It's just so you can see it better, if you know what I mean. It's kind of hard to get what I'm trying to get at, but just, yeah, it's all Cinema 4D experience, I guess. So once you have your metal mat on your extrude, I'm just gonna go ahead and label this Darth just to be organized. All right, excuse me. So next thing we're gonna do is get an atom array. So I like to duplicate this, and for some reason, if you use fillet caps like on the atom array, it's gonna look really weird. So just put these back to caps like you had it in the first place. So get an atom array and then put your copy with no fillet caps on it, just the caps. Turn this to about 1, and then put your axis by the atom array again to make it centered. You don't have to do that whole middle thing. I mean, it's up to you if you want, but yeah. So now what I like to do is make the atom array a little bigger, like I'd say something like that. I don't know, it makes a pretty cool effect on it. And then I just, if it's like kind of at a weird number, like I just made it bigger, so the sphere radius and the cylinder radius just went up. So I'm gonna put it back to 1. Just, I don't know, I have weird OCD about that. So I'm gonna go to File, Open, and let's see. There's a really shiny mat that I have. It's in Zeke's materials. It's M1, and this is gonna be the one you're gonna put on the atom array. I just like to take off bump because it kind of gives it that grainy effect that I don't really like. So put that on the atom array and put it on cubic and seamless. I also want to put this one on cubic and seamless too. So yeah, this will give it a kind of shiny effect, and it will give it a shiny effect. Like I said earlier, anything rounded will be reflected. So reflected really well, rather. So this is gonna be, if it looks too bright, it's just because I have it really close to the light. So it's kind of a bad example, but the render itself looks pretty good. I might scoot it back just a little when I'm done. So that's that. And then I'm going to be showing you how to make those gold things in the back. It's really easy. It's just a plexus. So step 1 is we're going to make a plexus. So if you don't know how to do that, you go to this cube, platonic, change the segments to about 3, and then go to this bend shit right here, and then go to displacer. Then you're going to want to drag the displacer in the platonic, and then go to shading, click this little arrow on shader, and go to noise, and then go back to object, and then turn the height to about, well, first we're going to put our platonic where our render is. Maybe size it down. Okay. And then you're going to go to platonic and turn, not to platonic, you're going to go to displacer and turn the height to about like 200. And then what you're going to do is put this in a hypernerbs. So what a hypernerbs does is right here, and it just makes the corners or the tips of the triangles on the platonic rounded. So as you see, it's rounded, but it does look kind of choppy. So what you're going to do is select the hypernerbs and go to subdivision editor and change it to about 5, and it will just turn the segments up. But I'm going to do 4. But if you want it really smooth when you render it out, which is the best thing to do, put the subdivision renderer to 6. And this will not make it laggy because it's a renderer, not editor. If that makes sense? So yeah. So if it looks laggy in the editor, it shouldn't. It just depends on what you put it on. Just subdivision render on 6 will make it look really smooth. It's going to take longer to render because it's going to have more segments in it. So this is how I play around with that. I'll literally just mess around with this and mess around with the radius, maybe mess around with the segments. It's really up to you. There's not much you can do with it. It's just kind of trial and error, I guess. That's pretty much all my designs are, just trial and error. But If you get lucky, you get lucky. If you don't, you just keep practicing. So yeah, that's pretty much all I like to do with my designs. So after I get a good rotation and setup for this Platon or Hypernerbs, I will resume the tutorial again. Okay, so we're back. All I did was take a Hypernerb and I messed around with the radius and segments, and I duplicated it and just put it on the other side. And to get rid of this empty little space full of globs and Hypernerbs, I just added a Darth, another Darth. I just duplicated this one basically. So just to I don't know really how to describe it. I just release focus on the whole thing, or add more focus to the whole render rather just the middle, if that makes sense. I just didn't want that stuff to show. So yeah, so this also has a metal mat on it. I like to take the Hypernerbs, and what I did for the other one is I made a gold mat on it. I didn't make a gold mat, I put a gold mat on it, and this is in the Zeke's materials, I think. Yeah. So I took this mat and I took off bump and normal, because normal kind of made it grainy, but I don't really like that grain. I just like a smooth gold. So I like to put that on the Hypernerbs, go to cubic seamless, and then duplicate that. Alright, so that is our render basically, and we can render it out. And if it's too bright, you can always move it forward. If it's too dark, you can always move it back. It's the #1 key to metal renders. And this is obviously way too bright, so I think what I'm gonna do is group all of these by clicking it, hold Control, and then click the last layer, right click, group object, and then just make it a lot smaller. And this will change, I don't know why it does this, but it will change the Hypernerbs, so just be on the lookout for that, because it's gonna change like how they look. But I don't really care, because it's just practice. And I'm gonna scoot it forward just to mess with the lighting, and see how it looks. We'll render it out. So yeah, this has been Casper. Hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Hope this helps you a lot, and I hope you link me your designs if you ever decide to do something like this, or if you follow this tutorial, just link me what you made and I'll look at it on Twitter, maybe retweet if I like it. So yeah, see ya.